Okay. All right, so today is Wednesday, August. Where's my phone? Oh, I'm filming with it. Today is Wednesday, August 16th, and today I'm going to be at home. I'm not working in the truck, so I'm going to be working a lot on Voila Valet and just a couple of other things. I've actually already got a list going that I made the night before. One of the things that I think is critical to success is to always plan things ahead of time and to almost automate your life so that you can have a system in place and you can fall into a productive and efficient routine. You always know what to expect and you can better manage your time this way too. For example, I'll get all my clothes out and ready for the workout the next morning. I write a plan of what I want to get accomplished the next day. I pack up everything into my backpack, my briefcase. I even prepare breakfast ahead of time. I'll get everything set up. I'll put plates out, napkins, everything. It becomes an automated system. I wake up, I get into this routine, and I save a lot of time in the morning. And one thing I've been trying to do, which has been very tough, is to try to get out of bed without looking at my phone or any social media at all. I just go straight to the gym, I listen to my podcast, and then once I'm eating breakfast and I start to get into my day, then I can start to check my social media, email people back, return phone calls, etc. A ton of people always ask me, what kind of software do you use to design and develop your interface for whatever app ideas you have? So I'm about to show you. It's something really cool and very sophisticated. Note cards. This is the genesis of Voila Valet. Just hand-drawn note cards. I think now would be a good time to tell the story of how I thought of Voila Valet and everything that built up to it, because I think it is kind of interesting. So the original idea actually started with hotels and housekeeping. I wanted to make an app where customers can talk to their housekeeper directly, just via text from their phone. So if they leave their room and they're out and about and they forgot to turn on their do not disturb sign or they wanted their room clean, they could check that with an app mobily and it'll put a light on the outside of their door or something. Or you could message the housekeeping service. If you want room service, you can just send them a text, and it just takes out that middleman of the front desk. This was about the time when Uber was starting to get really big. So I had this great idea for this housekeeping staff. I was really excited about it. So what did I do? I actually worked as a hotel housekeeper for an entire day. I just emailed the general manager of a nice hotel here in Dallas, Texas, and I kind of told him my idea, and I asked if I could be an unpaid housekeeper. He said yes, and he set me up with the hospitality service department. I got to meet everyone, all the housekeepers, figure out how things worked. I was flipping mattresses, I was scrubbing bathrooms, changing sheets, washing towels. I mean, the list went on, and it's actually a very tough job. And so one of the aspects of my app was going to be where you could tip your housekeeper remotely, because a lot of people don't carry around cash, and those people really do deserve a lot of tips. But during my experience as a housekeeper, I noticed a ton of flaws in my app that just wouldn't make it plausible. Number one, there was a huge language barrier with all of the different housekeepers. There was actually one housekeeper who was mute, and she couldn't communicate with people very well. Then there was a whole problem involving scheduling. All the different housekeepers were assigned different rooms at different times in different parts of the day, and new housekeepers would come in. The turnover was huge, and all of these hotels already had software and that was specific to that hotel. And so I would have to integrate with each hotel's software system, which just sounded like a mess. So I left the hotel that day a little deflated, but the wheels were still turning, and I still had this idea of how I could connect people, and I had this tipping idea in the back of my mind the whole time. A few nights later, me and my family go out to dinner, and we use a valet parking service. We were waiting around in line for a long time outside. None of us had cash to pay or tip the valet. And I saw another business was doing a system where you could pay for the valet, but tipping them was a whole nother problem. And you couldn't request your car through this app. So then it hit me. Why isn't there an app where you can pay the valet and tip the driver and request your car so you're not waiting outside? Just create a more pleasant valet experience. One thing led to another, and I started thinking about Uber again, and I thought, why can't you see where the valet parks your car on a map? Why can't you get an estimated time of arrival when your car is supposed to arrive? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? And that same night, I went home directly into my room, I grabbed some note cards and started drawing up the interface of Voila Valet. And for the next couple of weeks, I just kept adding to these note cards, thinking of new ideas, new innovations. And here I even have some of the sketches of the original logos. I think number 15 down here is actually the one that won. And notice here that I labeled each of the note cards, each step of the interface. So here is 10 DC. After you click done, it brings you to 11 DC. And I wrote little notes on each thing so I can bring these to a developer and they will understand exactly which button leads to the next and the flow, which has now turned into Voila Valet. I love looking at these. I actually do look at these fairly often, but I've actually taken pictures of every single thing and now it's on my laptop. So I'll always go back and remember, oh, I did have that idea 2 years ago. Maybe I should implement it this time. One piece of advice, if you are thinking about doing an app, do this with all of your apps. If you want to create an interface, just write it down on note cards. It can save you a ton of money in the long run because at these big development companies, they have a whole separate team just for interface. So if you can skip that and avoid having to pay that whole team of people creating your interface, then you're going to save a lot of money. And another thing, it's such a simple and small beginning, and some people will get overwhelmed when they look at their competition. They'll say, oh, these guys are doing this, they have this technology, but you can start small. And as you progress and as you gain some momentum, you can really build a more complicated and more sophisticated product that will beat your competitors at some point. You just have to start and then stick with it. But then what? So I had this great idea. I had the interface all drawn out at note cards. Now I have to find developers, and I don't know any developers. So I met up with the guy in Dallas who's a pretty experienced developer, and I showed him the note cards. I told him my idea, everything, and he told me it would be about $150,000 to create this app. And unfortunately at the time, I didn't have that kind of paper money just lying around. But I didn't give up there. I started thinking about outsourcing. I heard all these horror stories about outsourcing, how people have hired others from out of their country and then they paid them and just never heard back. So I was very skeptical about outsourcing, so I reached out to my mom's website developer at the time who was living in Istanbul, Turkey. So I just asked her, do you know anything about outsourcing? Do you have someone that you know that might be interested in this app idea, who you can trust, who will do it at a fair price? She responded and said, well, I haven't told your mom this, but my husband is a professional developer as well, and we'd love to hear your idea. So I literally pitched my idea via email. They said they absolutely loved the idea and they would love to be a part of the team and help with it. I don't know these people at all. They're living on the other side of the world in Istanbul, and they also fly to and from Japan all the time, so it was kind of an uncomfortable scenario. But we had a couple of Skype calls, a lot of emails going back and forth, just making sure that we have gained each other's trust. And we eventually did, and we continue to run with the project. I would be absolutely nowhere without my development team. They make everything that I have into a reality. I'm the vision, I have the ideas, I have the creative mind, and I can just send it to them and they can make it happen. It's absolutely incredible. And that's another piece of advice that I've learned with tech companies. Happy developers equals a happy company. A lot of people always ask me, well, how do you deal with the time difference and the culture barrier and everything? And that all kind of pans itself out as you go. And actually the time difference is to my advantage because at night I can be working on something, I can be debugging some code into the app, and I'll just simply send them all these things, and then I go to bed, and then the following morning everything is fixed because while I'm asleep, they're waking up, it's during their day, and they're working nonstop, and they send it back, I wake up, boom. So that's my story, and if you have any questions at all regarding developing your own app or my journey developing Voila Valet, please just comment below, I'll reply, or you can direct message me via YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and I'll try and help you out best I can. If you've liked this video, please make sure to subscribe to see more vlogs, and to see more short startup stories every Wednesday and Sunday.